Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping straight into a stack of really urgent sources from July 1st, 2025. Our goal, as always, is to pull out the key insights, the nuggets you need to get up to speed fast. Okay, let's unpack this. First stop, Washington, D.C. There's this enormous U.S. Senate budget package, nickname, the one big beautiful bill. It just passed after a marathon session, even needed the VP's tiebreaker vote. So what's actually in this thing? What are the big pieces?
It's definitely huge, designed really to reshape things fiscally. You've got two main sides. On one hand, $4.5 trillion in tax cuts. That means making the 2017 rates permanent, plus, interestingly, a new tax exemption for tips.
Okay, $4.5 trillion. And the other side?
That's $1.2 trillion in spending cuts. These are primarily hitting programs like Medicaid, health insurance for lower-income folks, and SNP, the food stamp program. Both of those will now have tougher work requirements.
Right.
And there's also $3.5 billion earmarked for border security, which is partly paid for by fees on immigrants. Oh, and it rolls back green energy tax credit.
Okay, so big numbers. What about the impact? Our sources mentioned the CBO projection.
Yes, the Congressional Budget Office. They estimate this adds about $3.3 trillion to the federal deficit over the next decade.
3.3 trillion. Wow. And here's where it gets really interesting or maybe concerning. Almost 12 million people potentially losing health insurance.
That's a projection, yeah. 11.8 million specifically by 2034. It really highlights, a major shift in the social safety net.
And the vote itself was close, wasn't it? Shows deep divisions.
Extremely close. You had Republicans like Senator Collins voting no, citing worries about those Medicaid cuts, the direct human impact. But then others, like Senator Murkowski, voted yes after getting certain things for their states. It shows that whole political calculus, doesn't it? Regional needs versus the broader bill.
Definitely. And this bill didn't just pass quietly. It kicked off a major feud.
Oh, yeah, the sources were all over that. Elon Musk publicly called the bill an abomination.
Right, and threatened to fund Republican rivals.
Exactly, which then got a response from Donald Trump suggesting a review of government contracts with SpaceX, and he even floated the idea of deporting Musk. So, yeah, pretty dramatic.
Wow. Okay, so that bill now goes to the House.
Yeah.
Let's pivot slightly to U.S. immigration. The figures are surprising.
They are. Record highs in detention numbers, over 56,000 people. That's the highest it's been since 2019.
But it's not just the number, right?
Yeah.
There's something specific about who is being detained.
Exactly. What's fascinating here, or perhaps alarming, depending on your view, is the change in profile. Since January 2025, get this, a 12,000% increase in detainees without criminal records.
12,000%.
12,000. And now over 80% of detainees are classified as having no threat level. That's a really significant shift in who's being held.
And physically, where are people being held?
Yeah.
There's news about a new facility.
Yes, reacting to these numbers, apparently. A huge new detention center, 5,000-person capacity, built incredibly fast, just 8 days in Florida's Everglades.
8 days. Wow. On an old airstrip, nicknamed Alligator Alcatraz.
That's the one. And Donald Trump was actually visiting the site today.
Okay. Any other major immigration policy shifts flagged in our sources?
A couple of key things. Temporary protected status, TPS, for Haiti, that's scheduled to end September 2nd. That affects a lot of people. Also, there's a Justice Department memo prioritizing stripping citizenship from naturalized individuals if they find past crimes or, say, fraud on the application.
So a tougher stance there. And actions against cities?
Yeah, the DOJ is suing Los Angeles and its mayor specifically over their sanctuary city policies.
But then a slightly different note from Trump. Something about workers.
Right, a bit of contrast. He did mention considering some kind of temporary relief for farm and hotel workers, so a few different signals there.
Okay, let's zoom out globally for a second. Russia and North Korea. A formal alliance.
Yes, public and formal now, and the implications are pretty serious. If we connect this to the bigger picture, sources are reporting North Korean troops may already be fighting alongside Russian forces in Ukraine.
Really? Actual troops on the ground.
That's what the reports suggest. It's definitely a very significant strategic change for that whole region, and the conflict itself could reshape things quite a bit.
Okay, a major geopolitical shift. Now, for something completely different, but kind of fascinating, that popped up in the sources. Bad Bunny.
Yeah, quite the turn, right? But there was a study mentioned suggesting his music might actually stimulate happiness-related neurotransmitters.
Stimulate happiness. Okay.
And, get this, the rhythm, apparently it could be useful for timing chest compressions during CPR.
Seriously. Bad Bunny beats for CPR.
Isn't it?
In it. So what does this all mean? I mean, look at the range we just covered. A massive budget bill, shifting immigration policies, global alliances, even music's effect on the brain.
Right.
As you can hear, the sheer volume and the way things connect today is just, it's staggering.
It really is. And it brings up an interesting thought tying back to something else in the sources, this idea of over-tourism. You know, the concept that 80% of tourists globally flock to only 10% of the destinations.
Right, I saw that. Overcrowding in popular spots.
Exactly. So this raises an important question, maybe for you listening. Is that pattern mirrored in how we consume knowledge? Are we all crowding around the same big headlines, the popular destinations of information? And in doing so, are we maybe missing other valuable insights, other important stories lying just beyond those main attractions? Something to think about.
A really provocative thought to end on. Are we information over tourists? Lots to chew on there. We hope this deep dive gave you a clearer picture of these critical developments today and maybe spark some new connections for you. Keep exploring.